England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
Welcome to the show. Welcome. I'm your host for this one, Nick, joined by Jimmy James Nicholson down there below. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, my friend. Looking forward to a bit of a late dissection, I think, of the weekend's game. But I tell you what, I can talk about it until the cows come home.
It is, and funny enough, I posted this saying keeping up in terms of like us keeping up with the pace, but evidently Everton are not keeping up because as it stands, they're in the relegation zone. So that is a unintentional jab, pun, insult, whatever term you want to put behind it. So I'm actually happy with my thumbnail work there. I thought it was brilliant. There's the man, the myth, the legend, Divock Origi. There's the Flying Scotsman, Andrew Robertson, and then there is lonely old Frank Lampard with the scowl on his face saying, shit, and then Klopp grinning with glee right behind him. So I'm getting decent at these thumbnails. But in any case, I'm not here to talk about thumbnails. We're here to talk about the derby that was on Saturday afternoon. It was a post-lunch kickoff, you would say, 2:30, something like that?
I think it was 4:30 on
4:30.
Yeah, 4:30 on a Sunday. I think it was. I can't
it was Sunday.
Sorry,
anymore. Yeah, we had public holiday. We had Anzac Day. That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking. Was Saturday or was it Sunday? Correct. It was Sunday. So yes, it was. It was a tough game at the end of it. I mean, we did have to work for it a little bit. It was a bit of a tough day at Anfield, you would say, because Everton came in with the plan to shithouse for 90 minutes, waste time, Pickford picking up the ball and falling in stages on his knees, which Alisson returned serve with their first shot on target of the match in like the 90th minute from Richarlison. But that first half was pure frustration, you would say.
Yeah, absolute frustration. There was a point, I think, for us, it's a 1:30 in the morning kickoff on Monday. It's not an easy time to get up, especially if you've got work in the morning, those kind of things. But we do it because we love the sport, we love this club. That first half was painful to watch. Liverpool, Everton came with a tactic and a plan, and it was, as much as I hate to say it because it's really anti-football, it was a master stroke from their side, and they were very disciplined, very well organised, really worked hard to make things as difficult as possible for us. In saying that as well, I would say that we probably weren't at our best. We could have done things a bit differently, could have been a bit faster, kept things moving. In the last few weeks, we've really seen Thiago being able to recycle and move and try and find openings. We didn't quite have that same effect in this game, particularly in that first half. It was a game that was probably crying out for someone to really be creative and really push to be a spark. Something that we've seen a lot from Luis Diaz since he's joined us, and I think we were saying in the group chat at the time, this game is asking for that. Or there's a lot of message on the social media is asking for that as well. But Klopp, he's the man that's paid to pick the side, and he knows the side that he feels is best to do this. But that first 45 minutes was really, really challenging, really frustrating as a Liverpool fan.
It was, but let's not get it mistaken. We also had probably arguably one of our. It's hard really to say what is your strongest starting 11 now, because we've got that many good players when they're fit and ready to go, which is one of the talking points we'll get into soon. But when you think about it in hindsight, I mean, the only real position on the pitch right now at the moment you think there could be a maybe here and there is one of the forwards. So you have a Mane, you have a Salah, and then you have a someone else. Firmino, Jota, Diaz. If Mane wants to play striker, Diaz can go left. And in the midfield as well, with the combination of Fabinho, Thiago, and either of Keita, Henderson, or someone else. The back line sort of speaks for itself. You have obviously Robertson, who we'll get to shortly. You have Van Dijk alongside him. Most of the time is Matip, if not Matip, Kanate, and then you've got Trent and then Alisson in goals, obviously. So strong starting 11 against a team that is looking for almost anything they can get their hands on. And They nearly did. I will say they had some breakaway moments. I do think that I think it was a Gray or Decore had a cider, and then Gray had a shot in the second half as well.
Yeah.
They hit the stanchion, so that was a nervy one there. But Gordon was a bit of a pain in the ass for us because he was always on the break on the attack, and he was always down Trent's side and Matip's side. So it was a bit of a difficult day, but nothing came of it. There were some instances and incidents where Gordon was involved, which I want to get to as well shortly. But that first half in particular, did we do anything wrong that you can think of apart from just not score a goal?
I think we've probably allowed the frustration to get to us. It's funny. We've played teams like that in the past. We've played bottom half teams that have set up in that sort of really low block style. We've played some top teams that have also done that against us as well. And historically, we've really struggled with that. And over the last couple of years, we've really seen Jurgen Klopp's transformation of his teams to really be able to work through that, find a way to get through. And it's probably been a while since we've come up against a side that's really done that at Anfield, where we've really struggled with the pressure. There may also be the Merseyside derby atmosphere that gets to it. Jurgen Klopp says it's just another game. At the same time, though, for a fan, it's not just another game. This is the Merseyside derby. This is the bragging rights. This is getting one over the neighbours, everything like that. Family bragging rights. There is so much that goes into this. It's such a historic match. So maybe in that first half we did let things boil over and get to us a little bit. The shithousery from Pickford, from Gordon, Richarlison especially, just an absolute nightmare. And I think Sadio Mane is a good example of maybe letting that get to him a little bit. He's a wonderful player. He's a very smart player. But he has these moments in games from time to time where he just does something a bit silly. And he's probably lucky that he only got away with a booking at the end of that first half of that with that push on the Everton player. I think it was Decore at the time. I can't quite remember. But I think we needed that reset, that refresh at halftime to happen. It couldn't have come out better at the time because we were looking dangerous. I think we were at 80, 85, 86% possession, but we just weren't able to really break through that block. And Everton probably were walking in thinking, great, we can get away with a point here. And that was their plan, to walk away with a point. Who sets up against the team to think, let's try and get a point? That's embarrassing. That is championship level mindset.
Just that, let alone a team trying to stay in the Premier League, not to get relegated for the first time in some 50, 60 odd years. You want to go there, at least have a go. If you're going to get pumped, but at least go there knowing that you're fighting for something. You're not there, well, let's just take points off Liverpool because that works in our favour, because we can spoil at least, a quarter of their season by knocking them out of potentially a trophy that they're competing for, when they're literally competing to just try and stay in the Premier League. And that's what it was. It wasn't fast, like Jericho says, slow starts. It was a bit of a slow start. I mean, you can say you're dominating possession, but you can see Everton were not going to get out of their shape. They were always going to defend and look for the break and the counter-attack, and it always seemed to go down their left, our right side with Trent and Matip. And Matip had a great game, by the way. Yeah. He was key in that centre back pairing alongside Van Dijk, of course. Decent average game, didn't do much wrong. But really, when you think about it, Everton coming to Anfield, you're thinking they're going to come out and play because they have to. They can't afford not to. But opposite, they just came to frustrate. And then, you know what? If we hadn't scored the goal, 60th, 70th minute, that's when doubt starts creeping into our minds. That's when Anfield starts becoming a little bit restless and starts moaning and groaning. And that's when the Everton fans start bigging up their team. And then they're just looking to scrap anything and just hit anything on the counter-attack, which almost did happen after we scored the first goal. But the first goal was from the Flying Scotsman, your mate, Andy Robertson. I was listening to the live commentary driving home from the city. I was gigging that whole day. And I'm thinking to myself, it's double demerits. I'm not going to have the Optus Sports playing, even if it's upside down, face down. If I get pulled over and they can see a bit of a hue, bit of brightness coming from the phone, I'm not going to pick it up and turn it over and say, yeah, I'm listening to Liverpool. So I'm listening to the LFC TV commentary, and my days, you would have thought that they were playing at the Champions League final or something. That's how pumped and excited they were for it. But the first goal, Andy Robertson. You have to make mention, though. Divock Origi comes on. You're scratching your head. You're thinking, he He hasn't played in so long, but he's coming on against Everton. Surely there's a goal in this. He didn't score just yet, but he did help set up that goal, playing a little 1-2 with Mo Salah.
100%. And it's actually really funny you say it because, Divock Origi this season especially has been a player that emerges from the shadows, does something, and then just retreats and is gone again. And it's so
He's like
strange
Batman.
because
He just
he
disappears.
is. He just, he just comes out when we need something. And it's crazy. I remember the Wolves game earlier on in the season. He's been instrumental in our cup runs. He scored the vital goal against Milan away. Apart from that, he hasn't done much else apart from a couple of really awesome photo shoots if you're into that kind of stuff. But he you know what it is? I genuinely think he is a player who just relishes these moments because he seems to be this person. Forget the player for a second. He seems to be this person that has this very zen mindset where he can just channel the atmosphere, channel the noise, and just turn it into just something creative and wonderful for him. Because you look at his contributions and his stats and things like that through the seasons, especially as Jurgen Klopp's came in, and he doesn't have a high goal to game ratio or a high assist to game ratio, that kind of thing. But when you look at how important his goals are, my God, you cannot put a price on those things. But in terms of what he was able to contribute against Everton, first off, I genuinely think it probably rattled a few of the Everton players. That's now 6 goals against the Blues. So him coming on, it just adds a different dynamic. He's a different player. Jurgen Klopp said it himself in the team. He's actually the best finisher out of all the players. We know that Origi probably isn't as broadly talented as what you would get from Mo Salah, or you would get from Bobby Firmino, or you would get from Mane, Jota, Diaz. He's a different kind of player, and he just brings something else into the side that just allows us to try something different. We sort of went into more of a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2, however you want to look at it, depending on the shape for that time. And it just opened the game up completely. It was a brand new dynamic. And last year, when we looked at Divock Origi during last season, we felt that he was very sluggish. He didn't really contribute to games. I don't even think he scored a goal last season. But this season,
I'm looking at the stats right now, actually.
Yeah.
I was going to say 1 goal last season,
goal.
and it came in the League Cup.
Yeah.
That would have been the one against Arsenal, sorry.
Yeah. I think
Maybe.
It was maybe in the season before the one
half,
against Arsenal.
half volley or scissor kick or something that he did, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was the season before. But you're right, 1 goal last season. This season, though, he seems to be this player who just is able to contribute in those time windows where we need something to happen. And you got to remember, he's still only 26.
It
feels
wild,
like he's been
man.
at this
That's
club forever.
wild.
He's only 26. And he probably is going to leave the club at the end of the season. And I will be sad when he leaves. But the impression and the lasting effect that he has had has been immense. And what he was able to do was bring a new element to it. He's got really nice little touches. He's got a really big frame about him as well. He just is something else for that Everton defence to deal with. And he was able to allow Mo Salah to operate a little bit differently at times, bring him into the game a little bit more. And the little touch back to Salah to then play that quick ball across the box. And Andy Robertson running in at the back post scores first goal at the Kop end. And what a thing to do it, right, in this game where I guess the Liverpool fans are getting blue-balled by what's going on. It was euphoric. I was screaming the house down, and my wife and daughter, not very impressed with that. But I don't care. When that happens, you cannot contain yourself. It was just a wonderful, wonderful, like I say, euphoric moment.
Drake is the good finisher. Yeah, okay. But he has to gas him up. He's got to increase his price somehow. Has to increase the price somehow.
That's what Jurgen Klopp does. He's done it with so many players in the past. He builds them up, and then 6 months later, they're on the. It is what it is. It's fine. It's fine.
But that was the 62nd minute. That was a massive breakthrough because even though they weren't really doing much, also with the Origi, we brought on Luis Diaz, who came off for Naby Keita. We had a very attacking lineup at that front there because really in the midfield, once we did that, we only had Thiago and Fabinho, and then you're trying to make shift 2 other forwards in some sort of a midfield rejig. So it was almost like a 4-2-4 in a way. Like how else would you just all out attack? And it ended up working. So we got the goal there, and then we see that Henderson comes on late for Diogo Jota, and then Henderson's then involved for the second goal. And then Diaz is also credited with the assist from an audacious scissor kick attempt.
Oh
Like
my God, this
his
guy.
touch a few minutes before that, just to take it with the little like back heel motion behind his leg to bring it down and dead touch it as well, and then to fashion a chance out of that, and then to have the balls in front of the cop when we really can't be fart-assing around to give that an attempt and nicely pay off. I'm almost wondering now if Origi doesn't touch it, does it go in or does it go over?
I think it's bouncing over. But
So luckily Origi does get his head to that. So that was 2-0,
yeah.
and it was pretty much done and dusted by that point.
Yeah, I got to say, Luis Diaz has got a very smart, composed frame of mind. But the way that boy plays with his feet, my Spanish Colombian dialect isn't very strong, but that boy is muy loco. He is just absolutely crazy with the way that he plays. Commentator said it perfectly on the weekend. That boy could play beautiful football in a telephone box. He is dazzling, exactly that. I couldn't say it better myself. He came on and. I said it at the start of this pod, at the start of this stream, he just has this spark. He is unpredictable. You just don't know which way he's going to go. You look at players like Mo Salah. Mo Salah's his best player in the team pretty much when we're going forward. But you can see the run that he makes and you know the move that he is probably going to do. When he does that little dinky run in the diagonal into the box and then sort of does a shimmy and then cuts in, you know he's going to do that, but the defender just doesn't know when he's going to do that. With Diaz, you just have no idea what is going to come next. He's going to go that way, he's going to go that way, he's just going through the place. He's all over the place. And the finesse that he's got and the touch that he's got is just, the boy's just playing with complete freedom. And that is such an amazing element to have in this side. You know, we've brought players in the past and, you know, they've been able to contribute in different ways. Diogo Jota is the perfect example. Diogo Jota doesn't have a huge highlight element that makes him stand out from the rest, apart from potentially his ability to head a ball, despite he's only like 4'7" or something ridiculous. Yet he gets all the headed goals in the team. But Diaz just seems to have this hat, this magic hat with just no bottom to it. He just keeps pulling different things out, and that's the kind of thing that we needed to help us unlock. And it's the same with like when we bring on Divock Origi. Again, he's not this player that's got all these immense technical ability, but he has a different element about his game. And Luis Diaz is the same, but he's just a junkie of tricks. It is absolutely wonderful to see, and that is the difference. Being able to have those options from the bench is what helps us to unlock these kind of games. Whereas maybe 2-3 seasons ago, if it wasn't the front three that was playing, we were fresh out of ideas.
Yeah, it's nice to see a player come through, and even though he doesn't score you a goal, he does enough to rattle the opposition and fashion a chance for the other teammates, or create space for someone to run into, or even get an assist, as we've seen already. Yeah. So he's got a goal and an assist in the Champions League already. Obviously, we've got the Champions League match at home in the morning in some hours' time. What are we? Give or take 9 or 10 hours time for us now. So
don't want to think about it, mate.
Let's not think about it just yet. There was some contention in this game, though. We spoke about the Mane incident already. There was also the Richarlison kick out or drag against Henderson. That could have been a little bit. I thought Henderson maybe played it up a little bit. If he actually went with force from a distance and then threw his leg into him, I say, okay, he's got a point. But that he had it on there and then just pushed him along, it was a bit of an inconvenience, not so much an actual kick to the knee, but naughty nonetheless. And Richarlison does have that in him. We know he's that sort of player's got that fiery spark in him. Yeah. But that wasn't he wasn't the only one in the team. Dele Alli also had a bit of a naughty moment when he came on as well. But the man I want to talk about is the thorn in our side, the one who was really frustrating us from the get-go, and that is Gordon. And there was the dive that was given in the first half for him. I think it was Keita pulled out of a challenge. He just flew over him. But then the second half was that one-on-one, the shoulder barge, the nudge, the drag back, whatever it was, with Matip. It was waved away. It wasn't given. I'm not sure if VAR reviewed it because I wasn't watching live on TV, so I don't know exactly what happened. But what was your perception of that particular incident? Was that a penalty? And if not, if it was a dive, should he have been booked and sent off?
So my initial reaction was, fuck, here we go. But upon watching the replay now 5, 6, 7 times, which isn't always the opportunity that we have in real time. I know we have VAR, but VAR seemed to happen. They seem to brush it away. There seemed to be this real outcry for it being a penalty, and then also things came out. Oh, Everton never get a penalty. You don't get penalties at Anfield, even though Dominic Calvert-Lewin got a penalty last season for kicking Trent Alexander-Arnold in the back of the head. But anyway, they don't get penalties at Anfield, obviously. When you watch the replay and when you also add on the hard evidence that that has been built up against Anthony Gordon this season. Now, first off, I want to say Anthony Gordon played really well. If you take away the dives and the shithousery, he is going to be a good player if he continues on this trajectory. I have to admit it. He made me worry quite a few times in that game. The potential penalty incident with Matip, you actually see he kicks the ball forward. He then steps across Matip. Matip's foot comes on to his foot. He goes down. Initially, definitely looks like a penalty to me. I think the angle the referee's at, he has seen the direction the ball is going. He has seen the direction that Gordon is going. They're going 2 different ways. The goal is even in a different direction again. The referees went, you know what? Nah, not having it. It's going out. It's a corner kick. It's a clash. It's not a penalty. So I think the referee was very poor in a lot of things in this game, but I think he actually called that one correctly. I think that was a really good decision. The one that I was a bit more nervous about was the one in the first half of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Where he sort of put his hand on his back. That one, to me, I feel
gave him a shove. That looked like a proper shove.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a tricky one.
I would be asking a lot of questions on that one.
A couple of years ago, of course, Dan Lovren just put his palms to rest against Calvert-Lewin's back, or whatever it was, and they fell down like a sack of shit, and then they got a penalty. So,
yeah,
shot
him in the back.
Little baby touching in, like, oh no, the snipers are back at Anfield like they used to be at Old Trafford once upon a time. If you remember old videos, if you look at old videos, like Sniper at Old Trafford, it's just like, every time a United player went down, very suspiciously, you'd see like a rifle sound like a going off, and then like the shutter of the screen. So that was funny. But look, we ended up winning this game. We won the game. That's the main thing. It was 2-0 come full time. Everton find themselves in the shit. We find ourselves still chasing City, looking to, well, if we can't at least overlap them, we have to keep up with them in any case, because there is no letting up here. We thought, maybe they might do have a bit of a falter against Watford. Obviously, it didn't happen because they won 5-1, but they got Leeds coming up next. But again, in saying that, it's still only a point. Our goal difference is superior by 4. So we're in second, chasing title, whereas Everton are in 18th and 2 points away from safety. They do have a game in hand, so that's probably works in their favor, but they don't have much time. But that is that. And speaking of not having much time, we will look at this now. Villareal in the morning, we are playing them at Anfield. The first leg is at Anfield, so this is going to be a tricky one. Look, we saw a madness this morning with Man City and Real Madrid. I don't know if it was great football or if it was just poor defending, because I don't know how you can score 7 goals in a match against 2 highly competitive teams and that have stars within their ranks and say that was a great match. I mean, if it was a 2-2 or a 3-2 even, with players just one-touch passes, going through defenders, slicing balls across, I can understand that. But when you're missing balls, when you're getting nutmegged on the halfway line and Vinicius Jr. is running straight past you, I don't know, is that skill? Obviously, there's skill in that, but maybe that's bad defending. That's an error on Fernandinho's part. Have you seen Guardiola's reaction to that moment?
Yeah, I did see the video of him.
Man,
yeah.
It was like he just got told like he's lost all his money or something. He just held his hands because he knew what was happening. He probably knew what was happening as soon as Vinicius went through. But I'm not going to talk about that. But we do need to worry that there is a team coming with threat. Now, Villarreal, they're probably not the most prettiest in La Liga. They're not sitting anywhere near the top echelons of La Liga, but they're still a solid team. They are coached by Unai Emery. Good evening, by the way. And he does have experience in Europe. And of course, with Villarreal. Was it Villarreal? It was, wasn't it? No, it wasn't Villarreal. Sevilla, sorry, Sevilla. With Sevilla. Winning the Europa League like 3 or 4 times in a row, whatever it was. But they do have some dangermen. They do have Lo Celso. Capui's there as well. They've got Albiol, Foyth, a few players who used to play for Tottenham, mind you. And old, some would say, well, he was meant to be some crackerjack of a left back. Alberto Moreno is injured and out for this game, but he's been playing well since he went to Villarreal after the Champions League win. So he won't be participating. And Firmino is out for us, but this could be a well-changed side. But what are you thinking in this match? Granted, we can't afford... I suppose we can, but I'd rather say we can't afford going to Villarreal's home ground in a week or two's time, trying to chase a bit of a gap with the goals. So we're trying to keep the damage at a minimum on our part. We're trying to score goals.
And look, that's going to be the biggest difference. As Michael Owen would say, if you score more goals than the other team, then you'll win the game.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Look, the reality is, we look at our last game at home in the Champions League against Benfica. We played a bit of a mixed side, some really great experience, and then probably some of the more fringe players stepping in a little bit, which is fine, and it was the right occasion to do it. It was a bit of a nervy game though. We're now in the Champions League semi-final. Villarreal, you're absolutely right in what you're saying. Probably not the most prestigious side, but you know what? They are in a semi-final of the Champions League, and they have earned that right to be in a semi-final of the Champions League.
I have to say, they got from Juventus and Bayern Munich to get to the semi-finals.
That to me that worries me, because that Bayern Munich side are a very good side. A lot of people say that they have to rely on Lewandowski, but there's another 10 men on that field who are world class. They've just won their 10 in a row title in the Bundesliga. That Juventus side is a little bit up and down at times, but it still has to be done. You still have to beat these two teams over 2 legs. Unai Emery is a great coach. He's much more in his element with Spanish clubs in his homeland. We have to be so careful. We have to play our strongest side. I agree with the Southern Scouser. I think Konate comes in and Diaz come in. I think we need that strength, that real height resistance at the back. I think we need that sort of wizardry on the left-hand side with Diaz. And then also, naturally, you've got Thiago, who's that sort of that link, that person who allows Robbo to take that step forward as well. The most important thing for me is that we don't concede. I know there's no away goals and things like that, but the reality is we have to be able to go to Villarreal and know that we haven't conceded yet, or that we're not conceding at all.
The thing is, though, when it comes to the team, I've got no issues there, but my only thing is Thiago. He's played a lot of football, a lot of minutes, done a lot of running as well. Is he going to cut it for this game, or would you rather put someone else in there and save him for the game against Newcastle, which is only a few days away after this one here? Like, there's not much recovery and rest time in between. So do you play your strongest 11 here and then hope for the best against Newcastle? Or would you? I would rather change a few players here, because we know we can go away from home and we'll still do the job. We can still cause damage away from Anfield. But like you said, we need to score more. If it finishes 3-1 to Liverpool, let's just say, with a changed squad, then you might looking at it and say, okay, well then we can go to Villarreal and we know we can score 1 or 2 goals away from home, and that might be more than enough, because they have to come at us. If they come at us, we know what we're like when we play. If you come to play, we're going to play, and we're going to play better than you. So there could be something in it there. But like Southern Scouser says here as well, he says, I think Keita will come in for Newcastle. So does that mean that Thiago will then play against Villarreal?
I think it's going to come down to player management, in the sense that you do start Thiago probably for both games, but you're probably looking at that 60, 65 minute mark, and there's going to have to be a real expectation that we are at a point by then. There's probably, I imagine Klopp might have a few plans in place. If we're not winning by the 60-minute mark, then Thiago stays on until we find that deadlock. Great, we've got the deadlock done. All right, come off. Then you bring on that option of Keita. Is it maybe Jones? Is it however he wants to set it up, of course. we can't afford to not play Thiago in the form that he's in. I get it. He's a player that we can't. You sort of like when Matip used to play 3 games in a row, and then we'd have to sit him out for 2 weeks. It's not like that.
Punch card, punch card, punch card. Okay, 4th game you're resting,
Yeah,
and then you go again
yeah.
next one. Punch card, punch card, punch card.
He's got his Macca's coffee card. I get a free rest this week. Happy days. But with Thiago, he's so valuable to what we are producing at the moment. That there is no way that we can honestly turn around and say we can afford to keep him out. We're chasing a position in the Champions League final. We want to push Manchester City all the way. Yes, you can bring in these other players and you can mix it up a little bit. But what Thiago does has made our midfield the best midfield it's been all season. And you remember the conversations we had at the start of the season, the first few months when we were playing these different midfields, and the midfield didn't exist.
It was shit. We're like, the midfield is going to be the downfall of this team this season. We are not going to win anything because of the midfield, but it's come good.
Yep, it's come good, and we just have to be so careful. We have to be so careful that we don't fall into the trap. I mean, we've seen a few games where Thiago is removed from the game, and then all of a sudden things open up a little bit too much. And it's no disrespect to players like Curtis Jones or Jimmy Milner, Navigator or Jordan Henderson, because they are all great individual players in their own right, 100%. But with what we are trying to do as a team, when we're trying to break deadlocks, when we're trying to open up defences, no one does it like Thiago does it. So it's a very slippery slope if we try and overdo it.
See, this was my thought. I had this thought just on my way home from work this afternoon. I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have an opportunity here to go and get ourselves a lead against Villareal, which effectively, fingers crossed, would mean that the second leg is a dead rubber and there's no chance of them coming back into it. For argument's sake, let's just say, of course, it could be all completely wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, well, in this case, we are in control of the Champions League, where we could end up with it. We're in control. We're in control of how we play. We're in control of whether we will win or lose. We're in control of whether we progress to the final, right? In the Premier League, it's not really up to us. If we were first and City were chasing us by a point, then you say we're in control. But City are. So what would you rather focus on? Would you rather focus on something that you have more of a chance of getting through of, or would you rather focus on something that you're trying to chase? And I know it's the existential question. What do you want more? Number 7, or do you want number 20? Either which way is going to add to the trophy cabinet. We're going to need to get the Walk of Champions redone again for the 3rd season in a row, whatever it is now. I'm sure the sign guys are happy that they're still in business, that they keep getting called to put new numbers on there. But because you are in control of what you can do in the Champions League and not in the Premier League, I'm thinking maybe Klopp will maybe look to go full strength here and guarantee something to the best that we can.
I get the argument. I do. And I'm gonna pop a pin in it from my perspective and say, if you're Jurgen Klopp, you don't think about the other teams. You don't think about what, and he says it, and whether he does or he doesn't, I don't know, but he comes out and he says, we don't think about Manchester City, we don't think about the game 3 weeks away or whatever. We just take it one game at a time. Who's fit? Who's ready? How can we do this? And then that's it. You go that way. And I mean, Thiago's, because he's sort of the reason why we're having this discussion. He's now 30, 31. He should be in that peak window of his career. He should be able to grind out these games, especially as we get into this real pointy end of the season. I have my own theory on what Manchester City are going to do. And I think all we have to do is just keep doing our own thing each week. And as long as we keep turning up in each game and walking away with 3 points, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And what comes at the end of the season comes at the end of the season. If we lose the league by 1 point, I would rather say that we lost the league by 1 point, but we won every single game and we put our heart and soul into it.
Yeah, that's not a bad therefore. It's going to come down to 1 point again, like it did a few years ago. But Southern Scouts as well says here for Newcastle, thinking Tsimikas, Keita, and Jota will come in for Newcastle and maybe stay in the team for the second leg. That's not a bad shout. They'll keep the same team in the second leg. So play your strongest against Villareal, provided they're all fit. change it up for Newcastle, and then you can still bring on these players off the bench because you're not going to go without. I mean, Thiago, I'm guessing, will travel. If he doesn't start against Newcastle, we'll use him as an example. He'll be on the bench. You can bring him on. Same with Mane, Salah, whoever, right? Firmino will probably miss this Villareal match. There's no need to rush him back. We're not reliant on Firmino like we were some years ago now, but I still love to see him come into the squad, contribute, get an assist, score a goal, see that cheesy smile of his, and give us a karate kick in the air in celebration. I'd love to see it. But we can rotate, which is why I go back to the original point here. Squad depth coming good. We're having these discussions now because, hey, who do we put in this position here? It's not shit. We're panicking. Who do we put? It's like, damn, how are we gonna progress here? Like, which player is gonna be the best? Like, I want to put Thiago in there. Oh, but we've got to save him for this game because he's arguably bigger. Or let's put Diaz in there. Yeah, but Diaz is better coming off the bench against. This is why I'm not a manager. Fuck having these decisions to make, man.
Nah, 100%. I'm actually just looking at Thiago's matches, right? So he's already played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's already played 7 games in April, right? Then he played 1, 2, 3, 4 games in March as well. That must be his best run of games, like 11, 12, 13 games, obviously minus the cup final when he was injured during the warm-up. We've never seen Thiago have such a run of games. And I've never seen this side for almost, or at least a year and a half now since we won the league, have such a strong run of wins as well. So I think it is going to be a bit of there probably will be a bit of rotation. I think more against Newcastle here and there. I still think Thiago plays, but I don't think he plays the full 90. That's my honest opinion. I think if we get a strong win tomorrow, then great, happy days. He probably doesn't play the second leg. He probably plays 60, 65 minutes against Newcastle if things are going well there. The Newcastle game is going to be just as difficult, though. We have to treat that as if it's another cup final because that Newcastle side is in some form.
New oil money, as I said to you off camera, 4 wins out of 6, and they are looking decent. Eddie Howe's doing a decent job there. But before we go to a stadium I'd love to visit one day, St. James's Park. Something about it is just wow. I just want to go and visit it. We do have to take on Villareal, and whilst we have been scoring at least 2 goals in 9 of our last matches in the Champions League, we are goal machines known for that. Villareal are undefeated in the last 5 matches in the Champions League. So stats can tell you any which story you want to tell. It really depends on how you see things. And Southern Scouts have just mentioned 6 home wins for Newcastle in a row. So that'll be another tough match going to St. James's Park. And we are undefeated in 10 of our last 11 matches. I think there was the sort of 3-3 against Benfica. That's probably the only game that we haven't won because we qualified 6 wins straight. Was that correct? 21 points, whatever it was.
Yeah, we drew with Man City in the league as well, but
in the Champions League though, I'm thinking like, was it we qualified to the next stages with a clean sweep, didn't we? We won every game in our group stage.
Oh, now you're asking good questions.
We beat AC Milan twice. Yeah, everyone said clean sweep. So this game is not as simple as maybe what we make it out to be. A lot of people maybe wanted Villarreal. I mean, it was going to be either Bayern Munich or Villarreal. We would have seen Bayern Munich again. We saw them in the quarterfinals when Mane did Neuer over and half the team. But it is Villarreal coming to Anfield. And it's going to be weird because normally we see the first leg away. This time the first leg is at Anfield. So I expect everyone to be at full capacity, everyone to be at full tilt, using their voices nice and loud and proud. Obviously, it's a European evening. May it long continue to be one of great success. Mr. James Nicholson, give me your score prediction for this game, just this first leg.
Just this first leg. Look, I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think I believe that the players will be up for it. The players know how important this occasion is. For me, I think it's 3-0 for us. I think it's going to be still going to have to dig deep. It's not going to be a quick fire. We got 3 goals within the first half, and then we have to just keep our shape the second. I think it's probably going to be lucky to get a goal before half time, and then second half is just just making them work and tiring them out. It's not going to be an easy match though, and like I said before, I think the most important thing is as well as that not conceding.
Yeah, I think the consensus that I'm probably thinking of is a lot of people are expecting us to win by a few goals, maybe 2 or 3. If Villarreal do sneak one, I'm not going to be that upset, but I will probably be annoyed because that one goal gives them belief going into the second leg. All they need to do is score 2 goals, finish the game at 3 or aggregate, and then we go to extra time and then potentially penalties. Whereas way before then, they would have gone through because they would have got the away goal rule because they scored away at Anfield. So that's not the worst thing with the away goal, but again, it puts doubt into the back of your mind. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be like a 3-1 maybe, or maybe even a 3-0 perhaps as well. Fingers crossed. I think 3 goals is a decent cushion. Then you can change it up a little bit for the return leg. I think, like Southern Scouts has said, rotate a bit if we get a decent lead up. And fingers crossed everything works out. And we have the squad depth to perform. We've got this game, Newcastle, the return leg. We're still chasing the Premier League and, of course, FA Cup against Chelsea on the 24th or 25th of May to come as well. So lots to play for. The quad is still on as it stands. But Mr. James Nicholson, thank you very much for joining me for this one here. And to chill with the last one comment here says, let's hope the latter will be a good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Reds.
So fingers crossed everything works out well. But we're going to wrap things up there. James, thank you for joining me once again for the show here. I've been a solid leader of the Red Sea Down Under. Without me, we would have no show. So you're all welcome. But thank you for joining me as well. I had to throw that in there. Thank you for joining me as well.
No worries.
And hopefully on a Monday night, this Monday night coming, we'll have somewhat of a full panel, at least a trio, back in action again. So that is it. Peace out, everybody, and up the Reds.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe.